Chapter 16. Claudia uttered a silent gasp as Joy's words burned into her mind. She sank back against the soft red leather of the couch and closed her eyes. Allison's death. It had to be an accident, she thought. A horrible accident. But Joy's words had cleared a path in Claudia's mind, a path that had been closed off since the previous summer. Joy's words brought the frightening memories rushing out from their dark hiding place in a corner of Claudia's mind. And for the first time in nearly a year, Claudia allowed herself to remember what had really happened that night at Grizzly Gorge. Claudia, Joy, and Sophie watched fearfully as Allison balanced on the log, halfway across the gorge, her slim body illuminated by the full moon. The sound of the river rushing beneath her echoed up to them. Her arms straight out at her sides, Allison slowly inched across the thick log. Claudia, Sophie, and Joy huddled together back near the thick bushes. "I can't believe she's really doing it," Sophie whispered. "I tried to stop her," Claudia whispered back, "but she's so stubborn." "I'm glad Maria isn't here," Joy said, her arms crossed in front of her chest. "She'd have a heart attack." "Are you kidding?" Sophie exclaimed, her eyes riveted on Allison. "Maria would shake the log. She can't stand her sister." "That's not true," Claudia insisted. "Maria cares about Allison. But you know Maria. She doesn't like to show that she cares about anyone." Just then Allison cried out. She appeared to have stumbled. Her arms flew up as she struggled to regain her balance. "I'm going to fall!" she cried. "Keep going," Sophie urged. "You're almost there." "Don't turn back," Joy told her. "Keep going." "I mean it." Allison's voice became panicky. I can't do it. I'm going to fall." "Allison, stop messing around. Hurry up before someone comes," Joy told her impatiently. And then all three girls saw the darting lights, flashlights in the woods, footsteps approaching, counselors' voices. "Come on, Allison," Sophie called. "We're going to be caught." "Hurry," Claudia shouted. "Let's go." And then the three girls were running into the darkness of the woods, running away from the approaching lights. Was Allison running too? Was she following them back to the bunks? Claudia didn't bother to check. As she ran, her sneakers crunched loudly over twigs and dry leaves, so loudly that she could barely hear Allison's high-pitched squeal, "Help me!" And she didn't hear the thud of Allison's body hitting the rocks, or the splash of the water swallowing her up. When Allison's counselor discovered Allison was missing, they searched for her. Her blood-soaked t-shirt was found the next morning, clinging to a jutting rock near the riverbank. Her body was never found. Claudia, Joy, and Sophie never told anyone they had been there when Allison fell. They never told anyone that Allison had asked for help, that they had run away instead, that they had never checked to make sure Allison was safely back on solid ground. Maybe we could have saved her, Claudia thought, overcome with guilt. Maybe we could have walked out and helped her off the log. Maybe she didn't have to die. "She was fine when we ran off," they told Maria later. "We thought she was right behind us. We really did." Maria believed her friend's story. It didn't take the three girls long to believe their story, too. It was easy to believe, easier than the truth. It was a nicer version of a horrifying death. And, Claudia realized, they had all clung to the story because it offered a much nicer version of themselves. We probably could have saved Allison, Claudia knew. Instead, we let her fall to her death. The memories of that dreadful night roared through Claudia's mind faster than a rushing river at the bottom of Grizzly Gorge. It seemed so long ago, and so long since she had faced the truth. Claudia opened her eyes and leaned forward on the soft leather couch. She raised her eyes to her two friends. "We have to get out of here," she said in a low, steady voice. "I think Joy is right. I think Maria has decided that we could have saved Allison but didn't that night at Camp Full Moon. I think she brought us here to torture us. Maybe worse." Sophie gasped, her eyes open wide. "But how? What do we do? How do we get away from here?" "Maria won't let us go," Joy muttered, standing and pacing. "She won't, Claude. I know it." Claudia got to her feet and crossed to the desk. She lifted the phone receiver. "I'm going to call my mom and tell her to come pick us up," she told them. "When she shows up, Maria will have to let us go." Claudia punched in her home number and turned toward the wall to talk to her mother. When she turned back to her friends, her expression was troubled. "She can't come till the day after tomorrow," she told them. "What do we do till then?" Joy demanded shrilly. "Lay low, I guess," Claudia replied, replacing the receiver. "We can make it for one more day," Sophie said. "We'll just have to be careful. No dangerous water sports, and we'll act as if everything's okay." "Sophie's right," Claudia agreed quickly. "We'll just be careful until my mom arrives. We'll pack and be ready to go, and—" She turns toward the figure in the den doorway. Maria. Claudia was startled to see Maria silently standing there, one hand raised against the doorframe, staring intently at her. A frown hardened Maria's features. How much did Maria hear, Claudia wondered. Did she hear their whole conversation? Did she know they were planning to leave? Maria's expression softened as she stepped into the den. She held up a flat gold box in one hand and made her way toward the three girls. Would anyone like a chocolate? She asked, lowering the box. They're very good? Chapter 17. Staring up at the white glare of the afternoon sky, Claudia adjusted her purple swimsuit, brushed sand off her back, and gazed down the butterscotch beach. I'll go for a long run, she realized. Despite the tension the three girls felt, the day had gone pretty well. Joy and Sophie had played tennis most of the morning. Maria had slept late, then said she had chores to do. After lunch, Joy had gone into town with Carl. Sophie announced she was taking a long nap. Maria had letters to write. Claudia had ventured down to the beach. Splitting up is a good idea, Claudia thought. We'll get through this day. Then my mom will be here bright and early tomorrow, and we'll be out of here. Barefoot, Claudia started to run south in the direction of town. She stayed close to the shoreline where the sand was wet and compact. The waves splashed up against her bare legs, cold and salty. Watching the seagulls make their soaring V's against the gray-white sky, she lost track of time. The waves splashed against her. Her feet kicked up chunks of wet sand as she jogged. Before long, Claudia found herself running on the beach that cut past the bird sanctuary. She also realized that once again she'd misjudged the intensity of the summer sun. Even though it barely poked through the high cloud cover, she could feel her skin burning. She wished she'd taken a water bottle and worn something more protective than the one-piece bathing suit. She wished she was the type of person who tanned instead of fried. Should I turn around and go back? She asked herself. No, it feels so good to run. I'll go just a little bit farther. A jetty of dark boulders broke the water a short distance ahead. She decided to jog as far as the jetty and then go back. Her eyes on the preserve, Claudia sensed that something was wrong. She could hear her own footsteps, her breath coming in hard pants, and the sound of breakers hitting the shore. The air had suddenly gone very still. Claudia stopped. What's wrong here? What feels so weird? It took her a while to realize that the quiet was what was wrong. What had happened to the sound of gulls and sandpipers and the other seabirds? She listened. Silence. This was a bird sanctuary, right? So where were the birds? She squinted into the distance, and, to her surprise, saw another person running near the edge of the beach. It looked like Maria. No one else had that strawberry blonde hair and perfect slender figure. Maria, Claudia called, cupping her hands around her mouth. The girl in the distance didn't stop or even look back. It must be someone else, Claudia thought. Forgetting the girl, Claudia searched the trees for birds. None in sight, and no chirps or whistles. Why would all the birds have suddenly vanished? Why? She could think of only one answer, and the answer made a cold chill run down her back despite the heat of the sun. Something had frightened the birds away. A predator. There must be a predator, a large one, nearby. Seconds later, Claudia's guess was confirmed by a low growl directly behind her. She turned to see an enormous white Irish wolfhound. It stood eyeing her. Its narrow snout was lowered, and its matted, wiry fur appeared to be standing up on its back. The dog stared menacingly, its teeth bared, revealing long, pointed fangs. It snarled out a warning. Down, boy, Claudia muttered in a low, trembling voice. Easy now. Go home. Go home, boy, okay? The rumble in the dog's chest deepened in reply. Nice dog, Claudia tried, desperate, her heart thudding in her chest. Nice doggy. Go home, boy. Saliva dripped from the wolfhound's mouth. Its snarl changed to a loud, frightening growl. Slowly, her eyes trained on the dog, Claudia began to back away. In response, the wolfhound loped toward her with alarming speed. Claudia wheeled around and started to run, her feet kicking up large clods of wet sand. She turned to see the dog running after her, its teeth bared, its eyes eager for the chase. What little she knew about Irish wolfhounds flashed through her mind as her feet pounded the sand. Even bigger than Great Danes, they were bred for speed and aggressiveness, bred as the ultimate hunters. They were bred to tear apart wolves. The dog was gaining on her, Claudia saw, closer, closer, until she could hear the snap of its teeth and feel its hot breath on her legs. What can I do? What can I do? She had no other choice. With a desperate cry, she lunged into the water. Taking a deep breath, she dove under the waves. She came up, swimming hard, stroking out from the shoreline. Got to get away. Got to swim away. Got to swim away. She screamed as a surge of pain shot up her leg. Thrashing hard, she stared down and saw the dog's teeth clamped around her ankle. Chapter 18. Claudia screamed as the dog bit deeper into her ankle. Let go! Let go! She tried to kick at it with her free leg, but only succeeded in forcing her head under the water, her arms thrashing desperately. The dog let go, but the throbbing pain remained, shooting out Claudia's side. The huge dog lunged at her, snarling, its teeth snapping ferociously. Sputtering, Claudia tried to stand, to kick the animal away. Help! With a desperate shrill cry, she fell again. Choking, struggling to breathe, she kicked at the growling creature. Blood stained the water. Her blood. Claudia's ankle throbbed with pain. I'm going to pass out. I can't bear the pain. Help me! Somebody help! Her screams rang out across the beach. The empty beach. The dog's teeth snapped near her leg again. She struggled to pull back, but each attempt sent pain stabbing out through her entire body. Claudia's head sank under the water. She fought her way to the surface, gasping for air. Help me! Can't somebody help me? With a desperate lunge, she heaved herself into the tossing waves. Snarling furiously, the dog snapped at her hand. Missed. Snapped again. Got to get away. Got to get away from him. Her heart pounding and sobbing with each breath, Claudia dove under the surface and began to swim. Dragging her injured leg, she pulled herself away, using all of her remaining strength. Pulled herself away from the shore, away from the snapping dog. She stayed under the surface until it felt as if her lungs would burst. Then, lifting her head, she took in deep, hungry breaths. The salt water stung her open wound, and her leg burned as if it were on fire. Gasping for breath, she looked back and saw the dog paddling toward her, its dark eyes locked on hers. I have to get away. I have to wear him out. She turned toward the open sea and dove under once again. Dragging her leg still, she swam hard. I can outswim it. I know I can. If I go out far enough, the dog will have to turn back. Pulling herself through the dark waters, Claudia urged herself on. But then, a few moments later, she surfaced again, sucking in deep breaths of air. As the water rolled off her eyes, she stared into the near distance and lost all hope. A single blue-gray fin was cutting smoothly through the water. Not wavering to the left or right, it was moving toward her with unnerving speed. A shark. Chapter 19. No! Claudia's wail rose over the tossing waves. Watching the dark fin skim so smoothly through the water, she panicked. She tried to swim, but her arms failed her. Salt water rushed into her nose and mouth, choking her. Coughing, struggling to breathe, she felt herself being pulled below the surface by the undertow. No! Got to get control. Get control. Sputtering and sobbing, Claudia fought her way back up to the surface again. Her throat and nose burned from the water she'd taken in. Her legs sent fiery pain straight out through the top of her skull. Got to think. Think clearly. Taking a deep breath and holding it, Claudia forced herself to fight down the panic that rolled through her body. Think. Think! She'd read that sharks were drawn to struggle and violent movement, which meant she had to stop moving around. The shark might get her anyway. She knew it would be drawn to her blood, but she could try to slow her movements and not guarantee a quick death. Exhausted and terrified, Claudia forced herself to do a slow, even breaststroke. She remembered Steve, the waterfront counselor at Camp Full Moon, telling them, "Your arms and legs should move so smoothly in the breaststroke that they barely make the water ripple." So smooth. So smooth. Swimming without making a ripple was all Claudia had to hold on to. Smooth. Smoother. Ignoring her pounding heart, the blood pulsing at her temples, the throbbing pain in her ankle, she swam as smoothly and calmly as she could, counting silently to a measured rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3. I'm too tired. I can't swim another stroke. Exhaustion swept over her. Her arms suddenly weighed 1,000 pounds each. I can't make it. I can't swim anymore. The shark wins. Now she was fighting for every breath, fighting to stay afloat. And then suddenly, miraculously, the swimming became easier. What's happening? I'm moving again. It took her a long time to realize what had happened. And when she realized, an ironic laugh escaped her lips. I've swum straight into the riptide. It's carrying me away from the shark, but would it carry her fast enough? Sucking in deep breaths, Claudia didn't allow herself to look back. With renewed energy, she kept swimming, grateful for the pull of the tide that carried her along. The anguished squeal of pain made her stop. What was that? She muttered aloud. She turned in time to see the wolfhound's long white snout thrashing furiously above the water, its front legs shooting straight up. A wave of pure horror swept over Claudia. The dog squealed again. The shark was attacking it from below, Claudia realized. As Claudia gaped in horror, A geyser of blood boiled up from beneath the water. The foamy crest of a wave turned pink. The metallic smell of blood floated out over the tossing waves. Even from where she swam, Claudia could see the water darken with the wolfhound's blood. A surge of nausea made her stomach heave. The dog uttered a final weak yelp. Claudia shut her eyes, but she opened them wide when something coarse bumped against her. Treading water, Claudia goggled at the disgusting object. She turned her mouth to scream, but no sound came out. What is it? What is it? She didn't want to look at it, but she couldn't pull her eyes away. She soon realized that it was a hair-covered chunk of meat, part of the dog. The water all around her was black with blood. Glancing around, she could see no other sign of the dog or shark. Claudia couldn't stop the horrified scream that unexpectedly burst out of her. All of the terror of the last 20 minutes racked her body. Again she slipped beneath the surface. She was never going to get back to shore, she realized. If the shark didn't take her, the riptide would. I've got to swim. Got to force myself to swim. Was the shark gone? Was it really gone? Had the dog satisfied the shark's appetite? A biology lecture came absurdly to mind. Sharks are among the most efficient predators ever designed. It was a fact Claudia had memorized for a quiz. Now she understood its true meaning. If the shark did come after her, she wouldn't have a chance. Her eyes searching the bobbing dark waters, Claudia took another deep breath. Just swim, she told herself. Keep it smooth. She was so tired now, it was an effort to move her arms. But she turned towards shore and forced herself to swim, stroke after painful stroke. 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 I can't. Her entire body throbbed. Her foot was numb now. Her chest tightened, about to burst. Water rushed over her. The beach. Where is the beach? Horror gripped her as she had the frightening feeling she'd been swimming in the wrong direction. Why can't I see the beach? She whirled around in the water, panic sweeping over her. Where is the beach? Her arms gave out. She couldn't move. The tide carried her now. Everything went bright red, red as blood, and then black. Chapter 20. Claudia? Claudia? Strong hands pushed at Claudia's shoulders. Claudia, can you hear me? Claudia groggily realized that she was sprawled on her stomach. She tried to raise her head to see through her soaked and matted hair which covered her eyes. Claudia, are you okay? The voice demanded. Claudia groaned and made another attempt to push herself up. Claudia? Am I alive? Claudia asked weakly, rolling onto her back. She pushed the hair off her forehead and squinted at the blurred figure in front of her. Maria? Maria knelt beside her, her face twisted in fear. You're okay? Maria, what are you doing here? Claudia blurted. She adjusted the top of her purple bathing suit. The sun had disappeared behind thick storm clouds she saw. The late afternoon sky had darkened to charcoal gray. Cool wind swirled over the beach. She shivered, pain stabbing at her foot. I saw you, Maria stammered, placing a warm hand on Claudia's cold, wet shoulder. I ran as fast as I could. The water had carried you onto the sand. You were just lying there. I thought... Her voice trailed off. My foot, Claudia said. She pulled herself to a sitting position to examine it. The cut was deep, but not as wide as she'd imagined while struggling with the dog. The salt water had stopped the bleeding. It's lucky I came along, Maria gushed. I was going for a swim, and I saw you wash ashore, and... With a loud groan, Claudia pulled herself to her feet. Can you walk? Maria asked, holding on to her. Claudia gingerly put some weight down on her injured foot. I think so, she told Maria uncertainly. The sand tilted up to meet her. Long blue shadows stretched toward her. I'm a little dizzy, she confessed. What happened? Maria demanded. How did you cut your foot? It was so horrible, Claudia cried. A dog chased me, and then a shark. Her breath caught in her throat. My ankle? Easy. Just take it easy. I'll get Alfred to treat it immediately, Maria said, and then frowned. Oh, I forgot. It's Alfred's day off. Well, we'll take care of it ourselves. She started to help Claudia toward the stairs. Leaning against Maria, Claudia gazed up at the gathering black storm clouds, and all sorts of dark thoughts began running through her mind. Maria didn't just happen to be on the beach, Claudia thought, as they started up the stairs toward the back lawn. Maria was the girl on the beach, the stranger I saw running away. The Irish wolfhound was Maria's guard dog. Maria brought the dog to the beach, then ran away. The dog was kept locked up in a wire mesh dog run. It was never allowed out except to guard the property at night. Never. Claudia shuddered as she pulled herself up the wooden stairs. Almost there, Maria said. Claudia heard the rumble of thunder behind her over the ocean. It's really going to storm, Maria remarked softly. She brought the dog down to the beach to attack me, Claudia thought. She wanted the dog to kill me. She wanted me to die. Maria bent down to the low shrubs, pushed the keypad inside the metal box, and the gate swung open. Claudia leaned on Maria as they made their way past the swimming pool and tennis court and toward the house. Claudia stopped a short distance from the guest house. I need to catch my breath, she told Maria. Maria's eyes examined Claudia intently. Poor thing, I just don't believe this happened, she said in a low voice. You have to tell me the whole story when we get inside? Another rumble of thunder over the ocean, closer this time. I'll run into the house and try to find some antiseptic cream and bandages, Maria offered sympathetically. Can you make it on your own? Yeah, no problem, Maria told her, wincing from the pain in her ankle. Let me catch my breath. I'll be there in a second. She watched Maria run across the terrace and enter the French doors at the back of the house. When she was certain Maria was out of sight, Claudia turned and, limping, made her way across the lawn with long, determined strides. The dog run where the Irish wolfhound was kept came into view at the side of the wide four-car garage. Hobbling badly, Claudia hurried toward it. She had to see for herself. I have to know that I'm right, she thought warily. She stopped a few feet from the wire mesh gate. The gate was open a few inches. The padlock, unlatched, was hanging beside the gate. Yes, she was right, Claudia realized, shaking her head grimly. The dog didn't break out. The dog was let out. The lock was removed. The gate was opened. Maria had deliberately set that attack dog on her. This proves it once and for all. We really are in danger here, Claudia muttered out loud. Turning to the house, she hurried toward the sliding French doors. Another low rumble of thunder crossed the sky. Claudia felt a few cold raindrops on her bare shoulders. I know what we have to do, she thought unhappily. We can't wait any longer. We have to get out of here. Now. Joy, Sophie, and she had to get away, as fast as they could. Breathing hard, Claudia hobbled into the house. She pulled the door shut, glancing around for Maria. No sign of her. Claudia quickly made her way through the back hall toward the stairs. Then, leaning heavily against the polished wooden banister, she pulled herself up the stairs. Where are Joy and Sophie, she wondered. We've got to get packed. Got to get out. Now! Sophie's room was the first on her right. She knocked softly on the door. Sophie, are you in there? Sophie pulled open the door before Claudia could knock again. What happened to you? Sophie demanded, eyeing Claudia's matted sandy hair. Never mind, Claudia whispered urgently, pushing past Sophie into the room. Pack up, Sophie. Hurry. We've got to go. Huh? Sophie's mouth dropped open. We have to hurry. Really, Claudia insisted. Pack up. But Claudia, your mom. I thought tomorrow. Where's Joy? Claudia demanded breathlessly. But, Sophie stammered. But, Claudia, she said in a low, trembling voice. Joy is gone. Chapter 21. Joy's gone. Where is she? Claudia demanded shrilly. Sophie gaped at her, her eyes wide behind her glasses. Rain pattered against the window. Lightning streaked through the nearly black sky. She's still in town, Sophie said, with Carl. Still? When's she coming back? Claudia asked frantically. Sophie shrugged. Before dinner, I think. Well, start packing, Claudia instructed. Sophie frowned. I don't get it. What happened? Before Claudia could reply, the door swung open and Maria hurried in, loaded down with bandages and ointments. So there you are, Maria said to Claudia. I've been looking all over for you. Sit down. She motioned to Sophie's bed. You've got to keep the weight off it. Claudia obediently moved to the bed. She could feel Sophie's questioning eyes on her, but she knew there was no time to explain, no time for anything. The three of them had to get away. As soon as Joy returned, Claudia would ask Maria to drive them to the train or bus station. If Maria refused, they'd walk to town, storm or no storm, or they'd call the police. Thinking about all the accidents that weren't really accidents during the past few days, Claudia allowed Maria to cleanse and bandage her ankle. Maria tissed as she worked, but she didn't ask what had caused the wound. That's because she knows, Claudia thought angrily. She knows. Gusts of wind flattened the rain into sheets against the window. Maria must have been so disappointed when she saw me wash up on shore still alive, Claudia thought bitterly. Bright flash of lightning made the shadows leap in the room. Please get back soon, Joy, Claudia thought anxiously. Please hurry back. She stared out at the storm, wondering if the hard rain would keep Joy from getting back. She jumped when the thunder boomed. There, all better, Maria said, smiling at Claudia. How does that feel? Good, Claudia replied distractedly. Maria glanced at her watch. Almost dinner time? It's Alfred's day off, but he left us a picnic basket. I thought it'd be fun to have dinner out in the gazebo. But it's pouring, Sophie protested. It doesn't matter, Maria replied, heading to the door. The gazebo is closed in. It'll be fun to sit inside it and have a candlelight dinner and watch the storm over the ocean. She stopped at the doorway and turned around. Hope Joy gets back in time. See you out there around 6, okay? Joy burst into Sophie's room a few minutes before 6, her black hair plastered to her head, her yellow sundress drenched from the storm. How's it going? Is everyone okay? She asked nervously. I had a close call, Claudia told her, lowering her eyes to her bandaged ankle. Joy gasped. Did Maria? Pack up, Joy. Quick. You were right about Maria, Claudia said, climbing to her feet. This afternoon, she set her guard dog on me. No, Joy cried, raising her hands to her face. I saw her on the beach. Maria doesn't know I saw her. You were right, Joy. She's trying to kill us. Joy shivered. Let me change. Then we can go. Change, then pack up, Claudia instructed. Then we'll tell Maria we want to ride to town. What if she refuses? What if she tries to stop us? Sophie demanded in a shrill voice. What if she... It's 3 against 1, Joy said, hurrying to the door as a blaze of light lit the sky outside. If she won't drive, we'll walk, Claudia said firmly. A deafening thunderclap provided an exclamation point for her declaration. The 3 girls dropped their suitcases in the front hall. Claudia slid open the coat closet door and pulled out 3 umbrellas. As they made their way through the hallway toward the back of the house, the lights flickered. Uh-oh, Sophie cried softly. Hope the lights don't go out. Are you sure Maria's in a gazebo? Isn't it kind of crazy to be out there now? Joy demanded in a whisper. The lights flickered again but didn't go out. She said it would be fun to eat out there and watch the storm, Claudia told her. She probably had some plan for us to be struck by lightning, Joy muttered dryly. I still don't think she's going to let us go, Sophie said. They opened one of the French doors that led to the back terrace. The lawn was illuminated by spotlights that automatically came on at dark. The sheets of rain shimmered in a bright light. The 3 girls stepped quickly out onto the terrace and opened their umbrellas. The terrace was puddled with rainwater. Claudia's umbrella nearly blew out of her hands. A long shriek of lightning was followed by an immediate roar of thunder. The spotlights flickered, then shone steadily. Is she there, at the gazebo? Sophie asked anxiously, lingering behind the other 2 girls. I can't see very well through the rain, Claudia replied. I think I see a light at the gazebo, Joy reported, holding the umbrella handle steady with both hands. The wind is so swirly I'm getting soaked, Sophie complained. Their sneakers squishing in the grass and soft ground, they made their way past the guest house and the tennis court, the red clay court nearly as bright as day under bright white spotlights on tall poles. A light flickered in the gazebo near the fence at the back of the lawn. The roar of the heavy rain drowned out the rush of the ocean just beyond the fence. Claudia hesitated near a small white shed at the edge of the lawn. What's that awful smell? She asked. Despite the falling rain, a heavy, sour smell like decaying meat or rotten eggs floated into her nostrils. I smell it too, Joy cried with disgust. Gross, Sophie agreed. The woodshed door was slightly ajar. That's strange, Claudia commented. I thought Alfred was always so careful about locking everything up. Whatever it is, it sure stinks, Joy declared. Let's get to the gazebo, and then get out of here. No, wait. Claudia held Joy back with one hand. On an impulse, she moved toward the open shed door. The other 2 girls followed close behind. The sour odor grew heavier as they approached the shed. Gripping the umbrella in one hand, struggling to keep it steady in the swirling rain, Claudia pulled open the shed door. All 3 girls screamed as Maria's lifeless body toppled out.